EA, I am beyond disappointed with you. Not only am I disappointed with you, I'm disgusted with how you run your business and the amazing projects, the few amazing projects that are going to come out of you. You cancel, you axe them, and then you usually axe the developers behind it, which they don't deserve because you're the dumbasses that decided to cancel an amazing project. And this is just a reminder that EA is the true enemy, okay? Yeah, Bethesda f***ed up with Fallout 76, but holy shit, EA as a whole, everything that they do is garbage, and holy shit, like, this just blows my mind. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you can probably see it in the background, you know from the title. EA canceled the open world Star Wars game. What? Welcome home. So let's go ahead and read through this Kotaku article because as you can tell, I'm pretty triggered from what's going on. So let's go ahead and read through it. Electronic Arts has canceled its open world Star Wars game, according to 3 people familiar with goings on at the company. The game, announced alongside the shutdown of Visceral Games back in 2017, had been in development at EA's office in Vancouver. So keep in mind, this project is what got Visceral Games shut down. And then they went ahead and changed the project and essentially rebooted it to do an open world game. Before it was going to be sort of semi-linear, I believe. That project was directed by the Uncharted director Amy Hennig, which was going to be an amazing game, I guarantee you that. But it's not filled with loot boxes, it's not going to get a ton of microtransaction sales, so let's axe it. So keep in mind, this is what said bye-bye to Visceral Games, the developers behind the Dead Space trilogy. They were good developers. They could have done amazing things, but instead EA's like, you want to know what? The Star Wars project that you're working on, the license that we've been mistreating the entire time, since, you know, you're not creating a game that we can make billions of dollars off of. You're not creating the next Fortnite. Yeah, you're axed. Your game is axed. Everything about you is axed. Say goodbye. And it was all last moment. So let's continue. EA Vancouver, which by the way, EA Vancouver is probably going to get shut down now as well. EA Vancouver, a large studio that mostly handles support for a variety of the publisher's games, including FIFA and Battlefront, had been working on this open world Star Wars game since October 2017, when EA closed Visceral Games. Until then, Visceral, best known for its popular Dead Space horror series, was developing its own Star Wars game. That project, codenamed Ragtag, was a linear action-adventure game directed by Uncharted director Amy Hennig. EA Vancouver had been assisting on the project, and when EA closed Visceral Games on October 17th, 2017, the Vancouver studio took it over. Oh. Why? This was probably going to be the one good Star Wars game that came out of EA having the license, and they axed it because it wasn't going to make them billions of dollars for microtransactions. So moving on. But it wouldn't be accurate to say that EA Vancouver's Star Wars was the same game as Ragtag. When EA Vancouver took it over, it rebooted the Star Wars project entirely, keeping some of the art assets but transforming it into a open world game. That way they can, you know, sell some more microtransactions. Now, that project is canceled too. EA did not immediately respond to a request for comment. EA had not shown any of EA Vancouver's open world Star Wars game publicly, but the publisher talked about it when it announced Visceral's demise. In quotes, "It has become clear that to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, something that they can pump loads of content into, loads of paid DLC, that sort of thing, we need to pivot the design," the company said at the time. "A development team from across EA Worldwide Studios will take over development of this game, led by a team from EA Vancouver that has already been working on the project." And what do you know, a year later, and that's axed too. And EA Vancouver, I'm sorry, but hopefully you guys don't get axed as well. It seems like everyone that touches anything that EA really wants to make a lot of money off of, and they're not doing exactly what EA wants, they just get axed. You can say goodbye to your jobs with barely any notice whatsoever, if any at all. In June 2018, EA announced that it had expanded its Motive studio, previously a single office in Montreal led by industry veteran Jade Raymond, to a Vancouver location as well. That one would also be located in the publisher's large office in Burnaby, British Columbia, as a division of EA Vancouver. On October 22nd, 2018, EA announced that it had installed executive Samantha Ryan to oversee Motive. Subsequently, Raymond left the company. It's not clear what EA Vancouver's next game will be. They probably won't have a next game. We've heard it might be a different Star Wars project. I don't know how they're going to get it done before their license ends, because they cancel all their projects anyways. But hey, at least we got a mobile game, am I right? We got a mobile game and 2 Star Wars Battlefront games that were just loaded with loot boxes and microtransactions. I love it, man. I'm so glad that Star Wars, a franchise that I loved, is being not only ruined by EA, but also ruined by Disney. It's just fantastic. So as Kotaku says, we've heard it might be a different Star Wars project. Respawn, the Los Angeles-based studio responsible for Titanfall, is also making a Star Wars game called Jedi Fallen Order. That game is currently scheduled for fall 2019. I guarantee EA is going to do something to f with that too, because apparently they really hate Respawn, according to what they did with Titanfall 2 at least. EA just has no idea what they're doing as a company. I feel like just everything they're doing is like the scummiest thing they could possibly do, and every single time we're gonna get something that seems like it's gonna be a good game, they're like, you wanna know what, let's just axe it. It's gonna be a good game, we can't allow that, we just wanna put loot boxes and everything. Okay, that's really all we care about. That's why we love our EA Sports games. They make us loads of money. And moving on to the update that they got at 10:17 p.m. Since the publication of this article, I've talked to several more people familiar with EA Vancouver's now cancelled open world Star Wars game. This project, which was codenamed Orca, was very early in development, but would involve playing as a scoundrel or bounty hunter who could explore various open world planets and work with different factions across the Star Wars universe. That sounds mind-blowing. It sounds like an amazing idea, and I would love to play as a bounty hunter or a scoundrel and be able to play on multiple planets. It just sounds so amazing to me as a Star Wars fan, or at least an old Star Wars fan, and now all hopes of that ever happening is crushed. So hopefully this doesn't happen to Fallen Order as well. I'm very wary on whether or not that project will ever come to fruition, but it just sounds like such an amazing idea to me to be able to play as a scoundrel or bounty hunter who could explore various open world planets and work with different factions across the Star Wars universe. That sounds like it was going to be almost like a Star Wars open world RPG across multiple planets. That is like the dream Star Wars game right there, and we're never gonna get to play it. It's so disappointing. When EA's top decision makers looked at their roadmap for the next few years, they decided that they needed something earlier than the planned release for Orca, according to 2 people familiar with what happened. So they canceled Orca in favor of a smaller scale Star Wars project that's now aimed for much sooner, likely late 2020, which also happens to be around the time that I've heard next-gen consoles will launch. Might be a bit earlier, might be a bit later. From what I've heard, next-gen plans are definitely still in flux. So it seems like EA is trying to do the move of wanting to make the double money of selling it around the time of the next-gen console so they can get old-gen sales and new-gen sales. Yay. To EA's credit, those people said the publisher did not lay anyone off as a part of this transition. This news comes at a time of cost-cutting across the industry at major publishers, including both EA and Activision. Some at the studio also hope that Orca might be restarted after this new project is finished. I would love that to happen, but I feel like that won't happen. I would love EA to show me that they care about the Star Wars license, but they've already shown me that they don't. Sure, they're really good at immersion. They really care about graphics, but other than that, not really. And we also got an official statement from EA. The day after publication of the story, EA sent over the following statement. There's been speculation overnight about one of our Star Wars projects. As a natural part of the creative process, the great work by our team in Vancouver continues and will evolve into the future Star Wars content and games. So what they're saying is likely the assets and everything will move over into new games. We're fully committed to making more Star Wars games. We're very excited about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from Respawn, and we'll share more about our new projects when the time is right. So it sounds like they're confident about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, so hopefully that game is solid. I'm still scared though. I don't understand how a company like EA is mistreating the Star Wars franchise or Star Wars license in such a terrible way. They canceled the linear game directed by Amy Hennig, the Uncharted director. the Uncharted director. That game had to have been at least, you know, above par. It had to have been better than Star Wars Battlefront and Star Wars Battlefront 2 from EA. And then this amazing open world game, they cancel it because of budget cuts and because the project is going to take too long. Really? Imagine playing a Star Wars game as a bounty hunter or a scoundrel, being able to explore multiple open world planets, and essentially it being an RPG where you can deal with multiple different factions and you can side with different factions, probably tons of different skills and everything like that as well. It sounds like a dream Star Wars game. And it just frustrates me because I want something good to come out of the Star Wars license from EA, and they haven't done anything positive with it yet. They've done the 2 Star Wars Battlefront games, and they've done a mobile game. Like, I don't care. They forever ruined the Star Wars Battlefront name, and those were my favorite games from my childhood. That is just so upsetting. They could have easily just done a Star Wars Battlefront 3 and done Galactic Conquest and everything like that. What people wanted, but instead they're like, you want to know what? Let's just make the graphics amazing, put in a few basic game modes that we are taking from Battlefield, and then throw it out there. And then throw some microtransactions and DLC and everything in there as well. And then the second one we're going to release like a year or two after that. We're going to pump that with microtransactions and loot crates. I really wish Disney went to a different company. Heck, even Ubisoft. I think Ubisoft would have done some amazing things with it. They have some amazing developers. Unfortunately, we got EA, company that everyone hates, or most people hates. The only thing that is half decent from EA, in my opinion, at least within the last couple of years, has been Battlefield, and even that has been pretty broken and a lot of controversies revolving around it. I just don't understand how a huge company can mistreat a massive franchise like Star Wars in a manner like this. It blows my mind, to be honest. It shouldn't be that hard to know what people want. It shouldn't be that hard to know what's gonna make money with Star Wars, and somehow they don't know. They don't know. They're just so out of touch. So many people were asking for something like Galactic Conquest, and they didn't do it. They refused. They were like, no, we only do new ideas. We only copy things from Battlefield. And then we have shit like this. We have a project that sounds really cool, project that was probably going to be a really good game, and it gets axed. It just... EA, can you please get your shit together and at least put out one, just one good Star Wars game that isn't pumped with microtransactions and that is just an enjoyable experience. I really need you to do one good Star Wars game, and I will love you forever. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, please smack that like button down below, subscribe to join the good fight if you haven't already, and ring the bell icon to stay updated on all of my future videos. It would be super greatly appreciated as always, and until next time, this is Epoxy, signing off.